Remember that story that they told us about in training? About George Washington's first female spy during the Revolution. They called her Agent 355 because they didn't want the world to know her real name. But her legacy lives on.
Jessica, you were #1 on my ballot at the Critics' Choice for Tammy Faye. Obsessed.
Thank you. And I'm kind of obsessed with your dress matching your background with the fresh flowers. Amazing.
But I think we both kind of go together as well. Like you've got the nice spring motif. Are we ready for a new year?
I'm definitely ready to get outside and be with people.
I hear you. First of all, I absolutely love this movie. It was so refreshing to see. And what I loved hearing was that you called a lot of these actresses and asked them, it's my understanding, what role would they like to play? How rewarding was it for you conceptualizing this film and being able to do that and bring this team together? And why the team that you chose?
Yeah, it was really important for me. I mean, making the film, I was like, I don't know that anything has been made like this, where women, there's an ensemble action film where it's not a joke or a comedy that they're taught. Like, we take it seriously. And then also, I wanted the actresses to be the owners of the film and the bosses of the films, to own the work, to make it outside of a studio system, and to make it for the fraction of what it costs to make a normal movie like this. And so, yeah, it was very important to me.
And you had parody as well.
Yes.
So why was that important to you?
Well, I believe that a person should get paid for the work that they put into a project. So that doesn't necessarily mean in terms that every project you do, you get paid the same. Because, I just did a film with Ray Fiennes. His time commitment was longer than mine.
Yeah.
But per day, we were paid the same.
Right.
And so that's what makes sense. You get paid equal pay for equal work.
One of my favorite scenes was when you played that sort of cat and mouse with Diane in the very beginning. What I liked about this film is you really felt the fights were happening. You didn't feel like there was a lot of special effects or cutaways where you didn't really feel like, how did it feel for you? Because it looked painful.
It was painful. I mean, I really threw myself into everything. We trained for a little over 3 weeks before we started shooting, learning all the fights. We did weapons training. We did stunt choreography, harness work. I mean, I did the leaps off the buildings. At one point, I got sent to the hospital because I hit my head on a marble floor. Like, it really, it wasn't a situation where we're like, okay, let's walk in here and then have someone else do the work for us. We really showed up. Everyone showed up and put their sweat into this project.
I know you said in the past that you appreciate watching characters on screen that are doing extraordinary things and going beyond what they thought they were capable of. What was your moment as an actress where you felt like you went beyond, or even within this film where you felt like you went beyond even what you imagined?
Well, everything about this film is beyond what I thought I was capable of. We put it together from scratch. Raised the money on our own, but then also I was self-financing at a certain point, like paying for the script. And there were many times where people's reps would call and say, you guys aren't really making that film, are you? Because we'd have okay, this is our start date. And people in the industry just never thought it was going to happen. They thought, oh, it's this novelty. It's this but it could never really happen. It's really, really hard to put a film together. So yeah, every day was like that for me.
How would Mace and Maya work together? Because this reminded me a little bit of Zero Dark 30. It had a little bit of that vibe.
Well, she was a consultant on our film, so it makes sense that there is that vibe. Well, I think Mace would be the one who would get out there and do the day-to-day work. Maya for sure would be telling her what to do. Maya would be the boss, and
Okay.
Mace would be following her directions.
Interesting. I thought it might be the other way around.
No, Maya for sure. Maya's everybody's boss.
Okay, got it. It was such a pleasure. I wish I had more time chatting with you, but congratulations on everything you've been doing. Wonderful.
So much. Wonderful to see you. And thank you for your nice words about Tammy Faye.
Absolutely loved it. Championing that movie all over the place. I watched it back to back. I watched it and then watched it again right after. So please keep making more films for women. Thank you.
I like the new team.
We're the 355.
I first wanted to ask you if you saw Spider-Man before we get to talking about this movie.
I have not. I actually have not. Yeah. For me, it's a tough thing, but I get there. I do make it.
Is that what it is? He's tough to watch, right?
It's just I noticed in the trailer that he's wearing the mask less and less, and it just I deal with it better when I just see the Spider-Man as a whole.
So maybe for the next film, I was wondering if you were going to show up in it.
Well, that's the problem. You know, they don't call, they don't write.
When are we going to see you in another MCU movie? Is it going to be sooner or later? Wakanda Forever?
I haven't known the answer to that question since 2010. It's still going.
Or are you being like an Andrew Garfield? No, they haven't called. They haven't called. And then you're all over it.
Thanks for spoiling the film.
Oh my gosh. So I loved this film. And I know the last time that you worked with Jessica was on The Martian. How did that call go when she called you? Because I know with some of the actresses, she said, what kind of role do you want to play? Did she do that with you? Or did she just say, hey, buddy, you're in this film?
It was great because she called and said, look, I want to do this movie, and I want it to be a unique experience, and I want it to be about the actors, and I want the actors and the creative team to just really come up with the story. And here's what we got so far. Go and have a conversation with Simon Kinberg, the writer director, and then see what you think. And I think you could play this role. And then with Simon, it was really great because it was very collaborative, and that's how it was for the rest of the shoot. We were all encouraged to sort of bring whatever we wanted to bring to the characters, and as a result, I think the whole film developed. But it was a really uniquely collaborative experience.
Can I just say that you and Jessica have so much chemistry on screen? Can you compare your chemistry between, because you've said that you and Mackie are very opposite and that works.
I hope you mention this to Jessica when you interview her. I think
that's all I talked about.
Nice for her to get that feedback.
That's all I said.
Oh, great. She's always been one of my favorite actors. And again, she's very committed, and she really shows up, and she loves acting. She loves characters and like sinking her teeth into it, and is super dedicated, and so that only motivates me. Usually when I'm around somebody like that, then I get excited and I want to get in there. And then when you have those two people kind of coming together, then I feel like you can have something special and different. And I feel the same way about Anthony. I loved a lot of movies that he's done before he even joined the MCU. And again, it's like once you see something works and there's enough trust there between you, then you kind of start guessing each other's moves, and that's when it becomes super fun.
And then do you have to stay unpredictable?
And then and then you have to somehow find a way to surprise them and keep them on their toes.
So I think you mentioned, and this sort of surprised me, that you got to do types of action in this movie that you've never done before. How was that? And can you talk about that?
Well, we had this period of month-long training beforehand, and I thought that always helps when you have, and a lot of times you don't get that time, and because then you can go on the day and then you take whatever you've rehearsed and you can sort of improvise a little bit around it. Yeah, there was a different level of sort of rawness and brutality to the sequences that we were learning that it just was different for me, and so I embraced that.
I don't like to harp on the fact that this is primarily a female cast. I don't like to sort of, broadcast it. I think it should just be the norm. But how was the energy? How did it compare? And I know you've mentioned that the 355 could take down Winter Soldier. What is his weakness that they're exploiting?
Well, the vibe was things just get done. They just get done a lot faster, a lot more effectively, and generally everything runs a lot better and smoother. But other than that, how did the 355 take down the Winter Soldier? That's
I think you mentioned it in somebody else you were talking to. I think it was Comic-Con. You were like, oh, they could take down Winter Soldier for sure. How are they taking him down?
I mean, probably by just having a conversation and just saying, buddy, it's okay, We've all been vulnerable at one point or another. You can be vulnerable too. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be creative about it. But you're laughing, so it's working.
It's brilliant. That was a great answer. Are you kidding?
Because Winter Soldier doesn't really, a lot of his problems were like not confronting his past and not talking about emotions and things. And I feel like he could use a little bit of that.
Winter Soldier's problem have been solved by the women of the 355. I love this. Before I let you go, I have to ask, I'm obsessed. First of all, I love when you're talking about Anthony Mackie and his projects. I loved Monday. I loved Endings, Beginnings. I love.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
But I love all the different choices that you've made as an actor. And now I cannot wait to see Pam and Tommy. I mean, I am beyond. How wild is it? Like, can you just tease anything about it? I know it's coming out soon.
Well, February 2nd on Hulu. Listen, it's a wild story to look back on and re-examine, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, I was very young. I was still in Romania when that happened, right? It was like 94, 95, or 96, 97. But I think over the years, people have heard things about it, or they feel like they know what happened, or, you know, the media and the audience is culprits, all kind of threw their point of views on it and said what they said about it, and there's actually a lot to the story that I feel like we don't know, and we're, you know, we're in a place now where we're looking back and kind of looking at our perspectives of it then and now, as it's still a very relevant, timely story, and so I'm excited for people to see it, and you know, we did the best we could. What
is your personal #1 spy skill? What quality do you have that you think is the most stealth?
I guess actors to some extent have to learn how to, you know, pretend, and I suppose spies and undercover agents have to do that. So hopefully some of the acting skills would help me out. But
I'm not an agent, I'm a therapist.
They thought I would give you my secrets.
Do you have secrets?
First of all, love this film. Love that it's very different from things that we've seen before in the spy genre. What I thought was really unusual was that Jessica actually called you to ask you what kind of thing you would like to see for your character. It wasn't like they sent you a script and said, would you like to do the movie? And you said you wanted your character to be a fish out of water. Why did you decide that?
Well, because when she called me, and she and Simon had this idea, but there was not even a first draft of the script, and she asked me, what would you like to play in this genre? What do you imagine now that we have the opportunity to, all of us, involve our ideas and bring things into the project? And I don't know, immediately in that conversation, it came to my mind that this character of the fish out of water, we have not seen a lot in this genre. And I thought, it's important that everyone is really good at what they do. And this group of women, they are all very smart, very clever, and really, really good at many things. But they cannot be great at everything. So I thought, let me be the one that doesn't want to be there, that doesn't belong there. She's a great psychologist. She's used to work with agents in her city while she's raising her kids. She works with post-traumatic stress disorder. She can know when somebody's lying. She's very good, but she doesn't want to be in that mission. And something happens and she's forced to be in that mission. I thought that could bring some humor into the story. And also some members of the audience could identify with that and say, okay, that would be me in that situation, running away, covering my face with a Ralph Lauren bag, or being totally terrified.
Right. It was brilliant. I think you should pitch more movies now, because I love she was the heart of the movie, and you're right, she was extremely funny. I also wanted to ask you, what do you think, Graciela, what do you think her most special skill is that she brings to the group?
I think she has probably the skills of knowing when somebody is hiding something. She's very affectionate. She's a great mom. She, for example, the relationship that she has with Edgar, and you wonder what has happened between them. Like, she has helped him as an agent that was probably really traumatized from a lot of things that he has seen, or maybe even some other bonding that they might have. I think that's kind of floating there. But her skills are more subtle, and actually she's needed in the group, she's needed in the mission because of that accident, because of what happens with Edgar. But I love that you see this arc in the character where you can see the transformation, where she starts enjoying that kind of life and that adrenaline. And probably if the movie goes well and there is a second one, I think she will want to be involved in that and combine her life as a mother with that other crazy life.
You led me into my next question because I was going to ask you if there is another movie, and I hope there is another movie. Who would you like to recruit?
I don't know. I think that would not be for me to say, but for all of us to get together and plan.
I was thinking Selma.
Wow, that would be amazing, of course. That would be amazing.
Her character from Hitman's Bodyguard's wife. Done. I mean, she could just seamlessly...
For me, anything with her, because, you know, she's like another sister for me. So we're really, really close. Actually, I just talked to her an hour ago.
Did you? Oh,
so that's a great idea.
And I love that you worked with Edgar again. That's amazing. Was it your idea to play a mother? I know, congratulations on Parallel Mothers, by the way. Your award at the Venice Film Festival, and you've gotten so much recognition for this. You've had such a busy year, but was that your idea to have her play a mother in this film?
That was important for Jessica and for myself, for both of us, to include that in the film. Like, at least one of us had to be a mother, so we could show also the difficulties of combining that kind of job that involves a lot of risks with being a mother. And for Graciela, that is her total priority. And even if you would see her work, her job done from home, how that would still be hard to combine. Like, to see those struggles and those difficulties, it was important for us, like at least one of us.
If Graciela's special skill, if she has her own special skills, what would you say you yourself, what would your friends and family say is your own special skill?
I love this question. I think it would be about knowing when somebody's lying, when somebody's hiding something.
So even you yourself know that?
Yeah. I might not know what it is, of course, I wish I knew, but knowing when somebody's hiding something, yes.
So you think you're very good at that?
I think so.
Really?
Sometimes I don't like having those skills, because sometimes you feel it and it's like, no, again, I'm getting this thing, and most times it's right. But no, but it's okay, it's better to have it.
I'll handle the guns. Are you in therapy? I should be.
We are kicking this off. This is the first big release of 2022. Why do you think this is the perfect movie to kick off the new year?
Oh, it's just so entertaining. I have to say, I'm ready to let off some steam after this rather depressing holiday season. You know, and it's fun. I also think it's quite smart. I think it's just the right moment for us to go back to the movies and just have a fun ride and let all those depressing news wash over our shoulders.
Yeah. I found Marie when I was looking at all the different action scenes, because there was so much action in it. It almost doesn't let up through the whole movie. But Marie is the character I would least want to fight with, because she's so scrappy, her style. And I love the scene between you and Jessica, especially sort of like the cat and mouse scene. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of crafting those fight scenes? It felt very real. It didn't feel like a lot of special effects. So just sort of like the intensity of preparing for those.
Yeah, we had a lot of training for this. Part of what I wanted to bring to the character was this, you know, that German, that sense of being German, where you associate that with, you know, a certain discipline, a certain preciseness. And Marie was very much written like that, right? She has nothing to lose, no attachments whatsoever. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. That relentlessness, like just always on. And you know, I try to bring that into the fight scenes. The stunt coordinator that they assigned to me, you know, her and I had a very tight relationship, because I wanted her, whatever was in me, to fight like my character would, you know. And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. You know, you have like the actor doing her thing, and then they have stunt people, and it looks like two different people trying to, you know, in the same scene. And we really talked about how, like, what you responded to, like the scrappiness, like, it doesn't matter, just get up, let's go, you know, it doesn't matter if it's pretty or not, just like, you know, that wiry quality.
That's exactly how it felt. And you can tell when you watch movies, when there's a difference between, oh, there's the stunt person and there's the actor doing it. You never felt that. I'm going to take you back almost 20 years to National Treasure, the chase, when you were chased in that scene. Can you talk about like the evolution of how fight scenes have evolved, and sort of take me back to sort of maybe the preparation for that versus this, and how how you've evolved as an action, you know, doing these types of scenes.
This felt very different because it was a, you know, the whole character was that action part. So like I said, like it felt like everything my character was doing was informed through that action, whether that's loading a gun or hiding from being shot at, right? So it was more of a complete training. It took really, it truly did. It wasn't about getting a six-pack, you know what I'm saying? It was about getting that physicality right for the character. So it took many weeks to like make that all happen, because I've never changed a gun magazine thingy, and it's not that easy in my opinion. So
you mentioned being very German, and what I love about this cast is that it is an international cast, and that you do speak, I mean, there's different languages spoken in the film. And that's another thing that I liked about the authenticity of it, is that sometimes, you know, somebody will be in Japan, will be in a different country, but then they speak English, and you're like, they would never speak English with each other. Right. So can you talk about how important it was for you to sort of bring that into the film, and it being this cast of women that are from all over?
I mean, I just think that the times have changed, you know, and I think audiences are smarter, and they don't want to feel like they're being duped anymore. You know, we had that same issue, a problem for Inglourious Basterds, for example, you know, where we had an entire script really in German and in French, and how do we make this sounding authentic and yet make it accessible to an American audience? So I think that the times have changed in the sense that generations want to actually, they're looking for that exotic escape as well. You know, they want to hear those languages. They're not as scared of maybe reading a subtitle, or, you know, and they want to be transported into a different country. So that's part of it, I think, you know, and I'm hoping that especially in these weird pandemic times, that's actually really exciting to feel like you are traveling with us to a different country, and you're going to hear all those different languages.
Marie has, obviously, I think her scrappiness is her special skill and her fighting ability. But what do you think your friends and your people close to you would say is your special skill? Like, what do you bring to your group that would be your own personal special skill?
I'm a really good organizer of things, you know, like people look to me, my friends are always, I'm like a problem solver. Like there's something to be planned, organized, get everybody to the same place for a party, make sure people get called and followed up on, like that's like me. Or somebody has a problem, they usually come to me, and I have a more level-headed way out of it, you know, which they would say is very German.
There's a scene in the movie that I loved. I think it was my favorite scene in the movie, where you all sort of, the 355 gets together and sits down for the first time for a meal, and you sort of compare stories of your first mission. What was your first acting job, or your first super memorable job that you remember from when you started?
Well, my very first job, I'd never been in front of the camera, I mean, a moving camera. And so it was completely green. I was still in acting school, theater class. And I played a girl that was in a wheelchair after a car accident. And I had prepared for that role, I mean, weeks and weeks and weeks. And I couldn't believe my luck. It was a French TV show, really bad TV show. And, you know, I had all these ideas of what I could bring to the character. And I just remember getting there like an hour before my call time, and I was just being so nervous, and, you know, in my head thinking that that's how I'm going to get into this character. And then, you know, they're finally calling me to set, and it was over. Like nobody paid any attention to me because I was like a day player, right? And they just, okay, say your lines, and this is it, done. And I couldn't believe, I was so disappointed and devastated, because I felt like my artistic soul was just violated. That I remember that like so much. And then my real first movie was with Dennis Hopper, and he played my dad. And so I remember that as being a defining moment in my life, of course. And he truly taught me everything. And I mean, everything from like the most basic things, like if you can't see the camera, the camera can't see you, because I was so green, and I went to theater school. So I didn't have any, camera training or anything like that.